Hey YouTube. I'm trying something new. I'm trying to go live. Just because like you guys don't see the behind the scenes, but basically what I do is for like 3 hours, I'll just go through fucking take after take. I shouldn't curse. Take after take of different try attempts to make a video, and at the end of it, I get one video that's like 10 minutes maybe. And it's just really a frustrating method. At least if I go live, like it's too late. I'm already here. Like I have to follow through with this. So let's see how this goes. Um, I want to talk about something. If you guys have been following the website, thereasonvegan.com, and I hope you have been, please do. You guys got to see my finger because I'm wagging it. I hope you have been following the website. It's we have great content. It'll be obvious if you go there. So I did a blog post recently about how I'm no longer going to be typing and I'm going to be doing the videos. And This video is actually kind of based upon one of the points that I made in that article, because the primary reason I'm no longer going to be typing stuff out, for one thing, just I'm a better speaker probably about this stuff than I am a writer. But I'm also, one of the reasons I'm not a good writer is because I'm not as technically knowledgeable, and I'm not aware of all the substantive aspects of veganism. Not like Mike Favada and Evan Anderson, our tried and true writers. They are very intelligent about these subjects, and they know, frankly, they know more than I do about the details, the scientific components of what makes veganism better, more than I do. I know the generalities. I speak in generalities, but my approach has really been to emphasize how we craft our message based on the information that smart guys like them and smart gals like others, like especially Melanie Joy with Carnism, honestly one of the most profound ideas I've ever heard. How do we take that information, all of that fact, and translate it into something that's persuasive for others and accurately representative of the facts without having to be without having to market, for lack of a better word, how we emphasize veganism. The case for veganism can be made very plainly and very objectively, just based upon the facts that we know now. And that's been my approach, is to talk more about the craft and stuff. And I think I do a good job. But am I not as good at advocating for veganism because I don't know all the stuff that Mike and Evan know? I don't read all the books. I don't I don't read like the scientific literature about the specific studies that are done about animal slaughter and its relationship with, animal production, non-human animal production and slaughter, and its relationship with like ecological degradation and carbon emissions, all of that stuff. I know that the UN has said something about that. I know that Consumer Reports has talked about like antibiotics. I actually did read that report, but like the point is that like when you're not as knowledgeable, when you're not that subject matter expert, are you in a position where you can advocate for something? And I think that's a really interesting and good question for us all to ask. My answer is no. You still can advocate well without being such a smart person about the subject. I think that I do it. I think that others do it. And I actually think that even the people who think that they're subject matter experts aren't always. For one thing, knowledge is a little bit more sophisticated than just simply being able to recite something that someone else has said. It really does require, when you really want to use it all caps, it really does require a certain level of rigor, and deep understanding of the thing that you're talking about. So I don't even know if a lot of us, maybe most of us, I don't know, you tell me on the comments, but a lot of us are actually those subject matter experts anyway. Nevertheless, does that make us or me worse at advocating for the cause? Again, I say no. I don't. I think, for one thing, because the facts about veganism, the facts about the problems that occur from animal agriculture, they're out there in the open, and I think that the burden of proof is no longer on us to prove the validity of veganism as a lifestyle choice, or at least avoiding the contemporary animal agriculture customs and practices, extending to fur and, like animal testing when it comes to household goods and, everything else under the umbrella of how we exploit animals. I think the facts are pretty plain. I think that because that's the case, we actually don't really even need to be in the position to be the subject matter experts. There are smart people enough out there already. So because of that, I think, again, the approach really should be to craft the message, to make sure that we're advocating well. Because carnism, going back to Melanie Joy, runs extremely deep in society. And shaking those preconceived notions about how our relationship with animals and how we should view animals, that's really difficult. It's not going to be done just through rational persuasion. I don't even believe that people are that rational anyway, generally, in terms of being convinced of things that defy what they currently believe. I think that's why it's important to make sure that we're crafting the message and not just talking about the science. I mean, definitely we need the Mikes, the Evans, and even above them, frankly, the professors and the thinkers and whatever else. We need it. But we also need to make sure we're doing our message. But then, and that's all well and good. I'm sure most of you would agree. But then when push does come to shove, if I do encounter someone who is a little bit knowledgeable in terms of, animal agriculture practices, or, farming and stuff, perhaps the argument might be that I can't hold my weight in terms of that. And, it becomes a very real thing, a real problem. Now, what I think about when I think about this is like kind of a model for how to think about it. I think a lot of things go back to politics for me. I'm like a, policy wonk, but like, I think in the same way that a lot of people are not subject matter experts about politics or political science and public policy. They are able to rely on organizations and thinkers who produce and disseminate the knowledge for them to advocate on behalf of. And I actually think that does translate pretty well into the field of veganism, in the same way that there are the Melanie Joys and the Peter Singers and the Michael Gregors, and a whole heck of a lot of other people who produce and disseminate the knowledge, and then we, at the lower levels of the academic totem pole, that's a fair metaphor for now. But at the lower ends of the academic totem pole, we get that information, that knowledge, and we express it to the public. We distribute it among others, whatever else, however technical thing you want to say it. But that is how knowledge works in general. I mean, it's produced in the academic weeds. It disseminates down for the public, and depending on what the information is and the public's willingness to accept it, it passes it along to the rest of society, and then it eventually becomes a cultural norm or something that's agreed upon as just an assumed fact. And I consider myself part of that distribution movement of distributing the knowledge. But is that not a good thing? I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. I certainly am busy enough where I don't believe, even if I wanted to, or if it was necessary, that I can do the kind of studying that Mike and Evan have done. I live another life in terms of what I'm doing with school. Like I'm getting my master's degree, and I do child welfare advocacy. So like, this is just how I'm going to be stuck. But does it make me worse as an advocate? I'm really curious to get your opinion about that, because it's something that I'm not exactly sure of. I want to say, sure, I'm fine, but I'm also me. So I'm probably the most biased person towards myself, so definitely let me know, like in the comments. And apparently we have like live comments. I didn't realize that part of doing this live thing, you guys like have those comments there. So, you know, comment on that too, I guess. But how are you guys going to do that? You know, this is actually right now. It's 12:33 in the afternoon, Eastern Central or Eastern Standard Time, East EST, whatever that means. Um, so yeah, this is actually not live. It's funny that they call it live. I don't even know the purpose of this because it's not live, but it's going to be showing at like 3:30 or something. You guys are going to be commenting something that you think might be live that actually isn't. Um, so that's pretty funny. But you know, I really do want serious feedback, and of course, you know, I want this channel to be a dialogue because that's what the reason vegan is supposed to be. You know, I'm a little flippant, and maybe I seem unserious, but there's a few other things that I'm more serious about than making sure that we're having a proper and fact-based discussion about something that is so serious as animal agriculture and environmental and ecological degradation and climate change and human trafficking exploitation that occurs because of animal agriculture. You know, there's this perverse intersection of all of these things that just go back to carnism and animal agriculture. And I want to, obviously, I hope it's obvious for everyone out there. I want it to end. I hope we all want it to end, but we want to make sure how. That's something that I'm going to talk about in another video soon. It's something that me and Mike have talked about. Veganism is really great as an individual solution, and you can separate yourself from all this ugliness that exists from animal agriculture. But what's the real macro level public policy solution to replace that animal agriculture paradigm in a way that's least disruptive, that minimizes harm? Because it, sure, I want to say get rid of it all, burn it all, whatever. I mean, not literally, but get rid of the whole system. Let's overhaul it. But a really serious argument, and something I even thought of yesterday. I was listening to a lecturer from Uganda. Is what do you do for the people who kind of need to exploit animals? What do you do for the people who need to farm? For the people whose countries don't have the resources except for the fish in their oceans on the shores, or except for the families with a large plot of land who have just been doing farming for 4 generations. It is a challenging thing. We shouldn't be cavalier about that. That's just what is it, like a preview into the next not the next episode, but the next video here. So again, comment, do whatever, tell me what you think. And definitely, especially let me know about the question here that's in the subject of this video. Do you have to know a lot to advocate well? I say no. Maybe you say yes. I'm even happy to kind of go a little back and forth on the comments as long as it's respectful. I'm not going to respond to vulgarity or slander or just sheer offensiveness. The standards for which I will reply, they're pretty open. I love criticism. I love pushback, as long as it's respectful, as long as it's fact-based, and as long as it's intended to add to the discourse and not just to divide. But yeah, I guess there's like an end stream button. So see you guys.